Welcome to Style Zephyr, brought to you by the Alec Bradley Cigar Company, home of cigars like Tempus, Coil, Sanctum, Mundial, and Cigar Aficionado's 2011 Cigar of the Year, the Prensado. Makers of premium cigars since 1996. Live true with Alec Bradley. And now your hosts, Kevin Quinn and Arthur Mingo.
Hey folks, welcome to this new episode of Style Zephyr. It's going to be kind of quick, a little bit brief, just trying to get something out. Everything being so busy as far as the scheduling goes, a lot going on at work. Got some big goals I'm striving for over at the store, and everything going on in terms of the weather, a lot of personal commitments going on at the time of the year as well. Got some friends and loved ones that are getting married, so everything and that is rush. So I hope everyone is enjoying their early part of the spring season as well. A lot of spring collections were kind of getting sent out to all the stores in the early part of January, so we're starting to finally reap the benefits of that. Quite a bit going on for some really nice light knitwear and some starting to become boat shoes and moccasins and whatnot going on. And at least the weather is starting to try to clear up here in Chicago. Some beautiful bright clear skies, and sun is finally starting to show its little face around. So really great time of the year right now. Everything is just kind of starting to bloom and everything. At least it makes the commute towards the downtown city area of Chicago a little bit more bearable. So it's a good thing. For this episode, I want to talk very briefly about a little bit of a conversation piece. It's quite frequent at the store, and it comes to shoe wise. And over the course of time, I'm going to definitely make a review video in regards to shoe build and shoe construction in the different styles and manufacturing makes. Primarily, moccasin construction, cement and epoxies, and also Goodyear welted shoes. I've seen a couple pretty decent marketing videos out there in regard to the build and construction wise, specifically for Goodyear welted, because I had been just recently in the market for a brand new pair of dress shoes for myself that happened to have been Goodyear welted. But also it comes in terms of, the price, the manufacturing, color-wise, the build-wise, and, how I've always been traditionally a wingtip kind of guy, but what else in regards to that can be, really offered, or what else is out there. So usually I'm going to kind of hint on a lot of gentlemen, which again is going to be a topic for today, is going to be in regards to what style that I kind of recommend for what kind of a build. And by that I mean, broguing versus plain toes versus cap toes, and even the amount of broguing that goes into all of that. What was meant for what, and how everything kind of came to be. And I'm going to start it off very simply by talking about wingtips. It really seems a lot from my customers, whether they're from the continental United States, so as far as California, my Canadian customers, and a lot of also my folks that I've got a few regulars from Turkey, Jordan. I've had from Paris, Germany. The last couple of days I've had from Finland, Serbia, Israel, and everything in between. And wingtips, it just seems it's got this universal stigma around it that really kind of revolves around, it's your grandpa's kind of shoe, which is understandable. You get shows like Boardwalk Empire, and you got movies like The Untouchables, and the classic Untouchables TV show, The Black and White, which was pretty cool. And then, of course, Gangster Squad, and you kind of attribute it also to that 1940s kind of noir style in your spectator shoes. And now it's, who can wear them, when can you wear them, and just that kind of thing. And historically speaking, throughout some research, you're going to see that the brogue in of itself, I have had some gentlemen say that whether they're brogued or just this simple wingtip in of itself, where it's across the as I call it, the shoulder of the shoe, and then across the vamp of the shoe, which is right below the stitching part of the shoe, and towards the actual physical cap of the shoe, and not just the cap of where you identify it as. So essentially, historically speaking, the broguing on a shoe was straight up from the Scottish Highlands, and they were originally meant to be more of a casual, kind of an outdoorsy kind of casual shoe, primarily as you were hunting, or if you were camping, or just on a basic hike. And where nowadays where we have a lot more tactical boots and tactical shoes, where you had drainage kind of grommets that were punched into the material of the shoe. When you think of hunting boots that were made of Gore-Tex, they were primarily meant to keep the shoe 100% waterproof, and even depending on the breathability, or if not, of Gore-Tex, if you had a Gore-Tex boot, you were obviously paying a little bit more for it, but the great thing about it was the fact that just straight up you knew it was going to be waterproof no matter what. The give and take of that being was the fact that once you got water on the inside of that boot, you were pretty much SOL. So, again, historically speaking, broguing on any kind of shoe really, and specifically that wingtip or whether it was a cap, broguing was meant to allow water to actually seep into the shoe itself and then actually allow that water to drain. Kind of cool. And then even now, as you consider the style or the fashion, just the idea, the concept of the broguing, it's kind of come full circle. And I've seen Blackhawk Tactical and a couple other companies where they've actually made brand new style of boots for special forces, where it was kind of like as I've seen on Vietnam style era boots, on the paratrooper boots, where little tiny vents were installed on the side of these boots so that it was actually meant for the shoe to be able to breathe. And then as materials and the different manufacturers kind of made their technological advancements, now it's been just straight up a matter of grommeted holes in the sides of these shoes and boots to allow that water to drain in and drain out. So at what point, it's kind of like what I equate to fedoras, where you can kind of, when people ask when exactly did fedoras kind of go in or out of style, they're trying to come back, especially with made-to-measure manufacturers and small businesses out there. But a lot of times it seems as though people are trying to measure, when you think of fedoras, they think of JFK, and everybody up to the point of JFK's inauguration, when he became the first president, up until for how long, historically speaking, that he did not wear a top hat or any kind of hat, like for that matter, at his inauguration. And then also it comes with it parallels along with the advent of headrests inside of automobiles, which was not only for comfort but also to try to protect from whiplash and different kind of automotive related injuries like that. So in thinking about the history of the wingtips and that broguing, it's really kind of a challenge to kind of consider when that historical point may have come around to where it had gone from a more of a casual wear all the way around to kind of now where you might think of other shoe styles, maybe like a tasseled loafer or a Venetian moccasin type shoe, where people, I don't like to say, will attribute it to a certain age group. To be polite about it, I refer to it as a certain career level. You're maybe accomplished, or you're retired, or you're a certain career field, and people are going to have certain expectations of you and how you dress and how your shoes are going to be. And even then, a lot of those gentlemen might come in and maybe they are retired or whatnot, where maybe they don't have to wear it anymore, but because they enjoyed that style so much that they just knew that, hey, like, this is a really nicely made shoe, the way it's built. And again, that's going to be a topic of a conversation for another podcast. But also, I cross my heart, I'm going to do an actual HD video and kind of break down as far as a couple of my shoes that are both cement, Goodyear, and traditional moccasin construction. The gentlemen are going to have their specific cup of tea for what they're going to go for. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the nature of the kind of perception around that type of shoe, where it's become about your career level, or the kind of gentleman you are, or if it's a matter of age. That just kind of seems to be what the kind of vibe has been around that. So as far as the wingtips, kind of circling back to that, not exactly sure as far as when they kind of, you do see it around that 1920s, 1930s into the 40s, to even where now they've become sort of a novelty. We do stock a couple of different combination two-tone wingtips. I happen to have a few shades of wingtips, even in the Spectators, where they were, tragically speaking, a Stacey Adams, where it was a brown and a lighter brown cognac, where, I could definitely wear those guys with a navy blue. I stick more towards khakis just because I don't really care to make too much of a statement. They make it all on themselves, but when you're going to be looking towards the nature of a color and the contrast and that type of thing, I don't need them to be too loud because that's not necessarily what I'm going for. Whereas you've got your classic kind of 1920s black and whites, I would not mind those at all, but then again, I'm also not going to be in any, necessarily any kind of remake of any Boardwalk Empire show or anything else like that along those lines. After that, as far as into the broguing styles go, and then even more simple without the broguing or too much decoration across the line, you're going to have your planes and your caps. Now, as I mentioned before, the perception has been always that wingtips were meant to be casual. Now, my perception in my mind that when I see all this over embellishment on a shoe is that they're going to be more executive. When it comes to the other, very simply put, shoe styles, in terms of whether they're dress or even now how they're being more associated to the casual line, there's going to be also that reconnection with cap toes and plain toes. Now, even cap toes can have their own broguing. They can be on the cap itself, where it might be a quarter brogue, which is if you do in fact have a cap toe, and most cap toe designs speak for themselves as far as their what you might consider them as, so designated as a cap toe. So it might be some broguing ornamentation around the cap of the shoe. It might be a half brogue, as to where you might have some broguing cut out along the sides of the shoe, or into your full brogue cap. And there's a couple different series of these guys. There's a lot of different manufacturers that'll dress them up or dress them down, whether it's a whole color or even a couple three-tone cap-toed shoes, to where it might be a certain color along the cap, it might be a certain along the vamp or along the sides, or even into the heel or into the heel well. So there's quite a few different options to go on. A lot of them are also going to be seasonal. Even in mentioning those other wingtips that I had mentioned before, a lot of those, when you get into two tones or multiple tones like that, you can even throw some different materials or even colors into the fray, where you might have a combination of calfskin leather or even suede or nubuck, which even then is going to get into a big, how do you care for that kind of thing? So if you have a suede or nubuck, which nubuck is going to be a little bit more of a fragile form of suede, something that you want to consider, which I am, because my two-tone Spectators are in a brown and in a white, so I plan on wearing them I have a three-piece taupe suit with a nice little a red streak throughout the plaid on the taupe suit. It's definitely something that you want to consider wearing once the weather gets a little bit more consistent. As much as there are different kind of suede and nubuck protection kits and sprays and different kinds of products along those lines for both cleaning and conditioning, definitely something that you want to consider for something when it's a springtime. I mean, it is a seasonal shoe, so that's not really something to be surprised about, but where you're not going to be worrying about water penetration or any kind of water stains or anything else like that, even on a suede sneaker, because all these classic designs and models of shoes that are now being, sneakers or gym shoes, because Lord knows I'm in Chicago, so they are gym shoes. How many of these manufacturers that are kind of trying to cross the threshold as far as making more gym shoe styles in these better materials and even sheepskin lined, where they're going to have these different decorative designs on them, all these different embellishments on them. So kind of getting back, you're going to have those cap toes. Now, even into the plain toed, you're going to always have, you might have your straight up plain toe. You might have some medallion decorations on the cap, anything else like that. Now, personally speaking, I consider plain toes to be very much contemporary. I recently just picked up a brand new, after realizing that I have about 12 to 14 pairs of dress shoes, realizing how much I like the versatility of brown dress shoes, it occurred to me I don't have a single pair of other than a pair of antique 65-year-old American-made dress shoes, they are cork-soled. So while I can wear them every day for a 7 to 10 hour shift, I don't necessarily prefer to, because that cork-soled is just cork in its own nature has its own various ways of reacting to the shape of your foot and how your arch is, and if you happen to have any kind of foot sensitivity issues, whether you have fasciitis or flat foot, if you've had any surgeries, or how one foot might be built slightly different from the other, they're not always everyone's cup of tea. So it's definitely something that's a little bit more of an acquired taste. So I recently had decided to go with a pair of brand new black plain toes, and they do a very nice, very simple kind of medallion piece on the cap. They're an Italian leather. They're not handmade in Italy as a couple of the other pairs of shoes that I had that are wonderful in their build. But these guys they do have a leather stained and finished leather on the uppers, and very different from anything else I've ever had before. So definitely something that I wanted to try. It's, again, very contemporary, and the fact that it was very plain Jane, and I'm very much, as Arthur has affectionately said in the past, I'm very much a vintage-minded person. For how many years I wore wingtips, and for how many, whether they were dressy or casual, how many years it's been since I've had those guys. So something that was a little bit more timeless, something that was a little bit more of a staple, and I can get away with a couple different styles. And even when you realize for the color of the shoe, if you wanted to do black, which I don't know very many people, personally speaking, I have not worn black dress shoes of any kind with jeans in years. And even after having realized that I can do black plain toes with blue, it was kind of strange. It was almost as much of a pop in the difference of color versus a pair of whether you want to go with cognac brown, British tan, or just straight up brown, like most people just, keep it simple, silly, whatnot. Definitely something that was really nice after I had tried them on the first time with a pair of really nice blue slacks that had a little bit more of a bolder blue contrast to them. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. I want to thank you guys very much. I'm really enjoying this. It's a little bit more of a mellow, again, just for the sake of time-wise, just kind of going solo on this one for today. But I'm going to go into a little bit of a philosophy in regards to how and where and why and what to wear these guys with right after this brief commercial. This is being brought to you by Alec Bradley and the Tempest, one of the workhorse cigars of the Alec Bradley Cigar Company. They are an American company, over 20 years old now, and you can look for them at your nearest cigar retailer. If you have any questions as far as those guys, all the way from your Prensado to your Tempest, your Black Market, and everything in between. So after this, folks.
Welcome to Casa de Montecristo, leading tobacco retailer in Chicago. Casa features a beautiful 3,700 square foot lounge with a VIP room, a conference room, and theater for hosting your events as well. Their inventory features products from companies like Regius, Alec Bradley, Davidoff, Camacho, Romeo y Julieta, Ashton, My Father, and dozens more. Their aging room includes cigars as sold as pre-embargo. Pay them a visit at www.casademontecristo-chicago.com or cdmcigars.com, the home of the only online retailer, proudly paired with style Zephyr.
Hi, my name is Alan Rubin, and I'm the founder and owner of the Alec Bradley Cigar Company. For 20 years, Alec Bradley has been raising and reinventing the bar for premium cigars. Based in the United States, we grow, harvest, and handcraft the finest cigars utilizing the highest quality tobaccos from around the world. Our quality has been featured in numerous publications worldwide, including Cigar Aficionado, winning Cigar Aficionado's Cigar of the Year in 2011 with our Prensado line. While we're proud of our accomplishments, we're most proud of doing what we do with passion and an emphasis on family. We oversee every aspect of cigar manufacturing with a care and attention to detail that is unmatched. The end results are cigars that bring people together, enhance relationships, and moments that are well deserved by those who choose to participate. At Alec Bradley, we have our own flavor, uniqueness, and style. Each cigar is its own experience and is true to itself. As a first-generation cigar maker, we don't have generational history, but we honor the timeless traditions associated with fine cigars, and it's time for us to start our own traditions. So come live true with Alec Bradley. For more information, please visit us at www.alecbradley.com. We proudly pair Alec Bradley with Style Zephyr to be true to you.
And I'm back. Thank you very much once again for your time and your patience. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you were able to get a quick refill of a nice cup of coffee with your cigar. Nice little cocktail, if you will, a little mixed beverage for tonight. Especially enjoying this wonderful spring weather that we got going on. Some a little bit more milder nights going on, and maybe even a nice spring rain in there to kind of ease the mood a little bit more and create yourself a little feng shui, a little ambiance, as it were. This episode is being brought to you by Casa de Monte Cristo. They're the official cigar lounge of Style Zephyr. They have a fantastic inventory. One of the leading cigar lounges, meeting rooms with a wonderful VIP lounge and a loyalty-based VIP lounge, a aging room, and as well as an antiquing room. An enormous inventory. You can find Casa de Monte Cristo at 1332 West 55th Street in Countryside, Illinois. You can always give them a call at 708-352-MONTE or 6668. You can always find them also online at casademontecristo-chicago.com, the home of the only online retailer as well. Got several other locations, whether it's 8to8cigars.net, topqualitycigars.com, Casa de Puros as well, one of their other physical locations. Guys are a great place to just kind of unwind if you want to go kind of introverted mode and have a wonderful cigar. You know, all kinds of wonderful brands from Ashton, from Alec Bradley, Nat Sherman, AJ Fernandez, all the way across the entire spectrum. So they'll be sure to give them a little bit of a look-see. You can also take a look at them from the link on the website. Gonna, again, like I said, keep this episode a little bit more brief. It's been a little bit of a while, so I'm going to even start wrapping up as it is now. And once again, kind of talking on the brief topic of shoe design and shoe build and whatnot. The actual construction of the shoes themselves I'm going to talk about. I did some research on YouTube and not really seeing any videos as far as my understanding goes on the construction between a little bit more traditional makes from Goodyear welted to cement construction, different epoxies, all the different makes and models. Because even then, whether your shoes are going to be, a lot of different folks have their viewpoints on shoes that are made from whether they're American made, made in Mexico, made in Italy, made in India, made over in the UK. There's one or two brands from London that I'm very, very interested in investing in a little bit myself. So on the topic once again of between plain toes, cap toes, and wingtips, as far as what I always kind of recommend wearing them with, if you're going to keep the philosophy going of wingtips being a little bit more casual, it's going to be kind of in the eye of the beholder on this kind of a topic. I still to this day will recommend brogings and wingtips and whatnot, mostly for the office, mostly for the executive type functions. And again, this is just me, but from my eye, and I also have a big eye for angles. So even more narrowly built shoes, I won't tend to wear them with jeans or especially chinos. If you've never worn a pair of chinos before, chinos are going to be a little bit more casual, more of like a denim in their cut. So it's going to be kind of in your instep, and that is from the widest part of the foot to the widest part of the shoe, and how they kind of look to your eye. If it looks too narrow, it's going to be a little gaudy. You're not going to be as comfortable as your foot starts to swell throughout the day as you run errands or you go to work, whatever it might be. As long as they're going to be a better build, any good dress shoe being genuine calfskin leather, full grain genuine calfskin leather, and also with the sheepskin lining throughout, as well as any particular comfort systems of memory foam or even gel incorporated throughout. You want to make sure that that shoe is going to have enough room to allow your foot to swell out and stretch, because you don't want to have any uncomfortable moments with you throughout, if they're for a date night or if they're for a big meeting, or if you're going to be on the road traveling. I've got quite a few gentlemen who travel domestically as well as overseas, and even then there's going to be I'd like to do another episode on square toes, whether they're lace or slip-ons, just because there's so much back and forth, quite frankly, about whether or not square toes are trendy, if they're still trendy, or if they ever were trendy. I can say personally, I've had a lot of gentlemen who absolutely swear by them. In regards to the wingtips, being, whether they're quarter, half, or full brogued, in my eye, and a lot of folks tend to agree with me, and again, it doesn't make it right, it's just, a matter of opinion, too much going on, really. Like, if you're going to be kind of going out, it's kind of like a good piece of meat. When you want to have a good piece of meat, whether it's medium rare or slightly medium for myself, not too much pink in the middle, you want to have better ingredients that speak for themselves. And in this case, when you have a better built, a little bit more of an aesthetic to the shoe, let it speak for itself. If you're going to have a whole lot going on in your outfit, and even then, if you're going to be doing jeans, a beautifully pressed shirt with a wonderfully tailored jacket, any kind of sport coat, regardless of the color of the shoe, even whether you like black, it's not my forte very much. If you like brown, which is my forte, and a lot of my gentlemen that I kind of coach or show them off or present them to a lot of my clientele, brown just seems to have a little bit more personality and a little bit more character, especially in the different shades of the brown. If you want to make it pop a little bit more and going with the coyote brown or the tan, the desert tan, or whatever you want to call it, whatever side of the spectrum you want to chill out in the most. Just a lot going on, and it's not always best for that. I did have a pair, and I still do, a pair of Cole Haan Air Geraldos. They're wonderful shoes. They are a wingtip. I got them specifically. I initially was going to have a health and life insurance career. Figured, okay, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of leg work. I didn't know it at the time, but they were just about to be discontinued because I'm not sure if it was the insoles or the technology or just the line itself, but they had the Nike Air insoles to the inside. So even after I've had them for a couple of years now, the insoles are fantastically comfortable. I used to do them a lot with jeans. Now I specifically stick them to suits and my slacks. Just too much going on for them to be casual in their nature like that. In regards to straight up cap toes, it's going to be a matter of how much broguing is in them. If you happen to like a little bit more to kind of make a little bit more of an exclamation point in your statement for what you're wearing for your shoes, you can absolutely go with that. I happen to have I have a single pair of cap shoes, just plain. I also do have a pair of caps that are both medallioned and full on brogued. Even those guys specifically, I always use them as a reference. Too much for myself as far as jeans are concerned. As far as the more simple caps, I like them. They're a shade of brown with a hint of orange in them. A little bit more difficult to find a matching belt with those guys, but I like them very much. They are Goodyear welted, and when the day comes, we'll talk about that. But Goodyear welted, leather soled, rubber heeled, fully refurbishable, and are going to last me for years as long as I take care of them the right way. And in particular, I like them for the shape of the instep. A little bit wider in my eye versus my Italian handmaids. The Italian handmaids are a little bit too narrow. Again, sticking to the slacks, but as far as my jeans go, whether I want to wear it with like a nicer shirt and a sweater tie or shirt and blazer, whatnot, just kind of balancing out my proportions of how my build is, whether it's between my shoulders, whether it's between my upper abdomen, my hips, whatnot, my legs. As far as even my pants go, I am going to be officially a Levi's guy. I've gone through a couple pairs of Express jeans. I've gone through a couple pairs of Gap jeans. I've overpaid for jeans, and they all wind up shrinking on me. Now, in all fairness, I've never been exactly Johnny on the spot as far as following care and washing instructions, but as far as Levi's are concerned, I fold them inside out, wash them as is, hang dry them with a fan on them, and then inside out accordingly, right side out accordingly after they're dried. A little stiff after that, but for the most part, I don't mind it. They break in quite nicely. They are the standard cut from the 505 series from Levi. This is the first time probably since I discovered Urban Pipeline. Just a nice middle-of-the-road, mildly priced jean that was going to hold up, and it was a shade of blue that I loved. I can remember a few years ago thinking, okay, I want to reinvent this look of the jean shirt, blazer kind of look. And I kid you not, and for a guy who shops this much, and I promise I like ladies, I spent about 4 months just shopping for a pair of shoes for this because I wanted a certain shade of gray, a certain shade of distressed gray in the shoes. Wound up going with a pair of the Gap pants, which maybe we can even accredit it to the gym after I had gotten a personal trainer for a while. Shrunk specifically in my quads and a little bit into my thighs. Your clothes, you got to wear them. They can't wear you. So I got way too uncomfortable right off the bat. But at the very least, the saving grace was probably going to be my shirt. I wound up going with a French cuffed club collared, so a rounded collar, very, very 1920s-esque of myself. Figured that was going to be, if anything was going to set me apart from any other guy in the room, it was going to be the collar alone on my shirt, not even to mention the French cuffs on it. And then a really nice charcoal gray, just like an evening wear style jacket, and a really nice, like a cross between like a darker red and a burgundy pocket silk with a beautiful navy blue polka dot with a navy blue detail around the outside edges of the pocket silk. So I was over the moon with that. So having stuck with that blue shade on them, they pop very nicely against that kind of the orangish brown on the shoe. I'm a hippie camper beyond that. As far as the plain toes go, it's going to be between the caps and the plain the plain, as I call them, the plain Janes. As far as for what you're going to be building them for, or I should say, what you're going to be wearing them and using them for. If you want to, for some plain toes, you can as formal them up as black tie or white tie, tuxedo, whatever the case may be. If you're going to be going that route, I would say if it was going to be formal evening wear, you'd almost be better off getting yourself just a plain patent leathered. Some of them are beautiful, even slipper wise. But even like an Italian handmade tuxedo shoe, essentially, almost like a slipper style shoe. Some of them are velvet lined, others are just straight up sheepskin lined. But they're beautiful shoes. But if you're going to go ultra formal black tie style, I would almost go with those guys. But plain toes, you can get away pretty much with murder. Give them a great shine if it's a particular shade of brown. I don't experiment too much as far as my polishes go. If you're gonna want to go color specific, you're gonna get the best shine, the best gloss for your money. And my customers love it when I start getting into and diving into shining, and especially spit shining. A lot of people think that it doesn't mean what it sounds like anymore. I swear it does. I love spit shining my shoes. It's very traditional. It's almost like cooking. It's almost therapeutic in that sense. But a plain toe, whether it was a jean, a slack, gonna depend probably maybe color and shape wise about chinos. I'm very much on the floor about chinos. Wore a pair of chinos today, and I wear them with a pair of our oil tanned leather gym shoes with the really nice sheepskin liner. As a matter of fact, I probably should put those guys on a shoe tree. I haven't put put those guys on a shoe tree. Please shoe tree your folks. You'll appreciate it in the long run. But to kind of round it out, it's going to be a matter of, again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I don't want that to be too cliche, but it's just going to be in the nature of what it's going to be for. If you want to casual it, if you want to make it specifically for formal, if you want to get different tones with different embellishments for if you want to wear it for work or if you want to wear it for going out, it's also going to be a matter of the price point. For so many of my gentlemen, or even for wives and girlfriends or anything in between who might be looking for a gift for their significant other, if you're going to be paying up to a certain price point, I'm always going to recommend something that you can wear for either as long as you take care of it and as long as it looks presentable. If it was going to be something for work, if it was going to be something for meetings, anything else like that, if it's going to be more budgetary, if it's going to be more economical, economically friendly, go with something that that deep down, even if you don't dress up very often, what is going to get you through everything and anything? What is going to be a Swiss Army knife for you? If it's memory foamed, if it's cork soled, if you want that security of knowing it was an American-made shoe or an Italian, if it's handmade, if it's hand stained, hand burnished, hand finished, whatever that price point is going to be for you. And not everybody buys shoes as often as everyone else, especially not as often as myself. I had only just got these guys a few weeks ago. So it's going to be a matter of what's going to take you the farthest, and kind of think of it as a car. If you're going to pay extra for something that gets you a little bit farther in that distance, maybe that's worth it a little bit more for you. Going to start wrapping it up. Going to be right around that 30-minute mark, just keeping it short and simple. So pretty straightforward and nice and easy listening kind of an episode. Shoes can go anywhere. They can make you feel better. They can be great for dressing up, for work. They really set the mood. You can even have different styles for different kind of categories of life. I'm still kind of working on it. I had a young lady in the store with her husband, and even she said it. You need something for working hard and playing hard. But whatever the case might be, look at that price point. Look at the build-wise. Is it going to be repairable? How does that color look on you? Does it accentuate your skin tone? Does it make your eyes pop? Does it look good on date night? Does it look great for a job interview? How much versatility are you going to get out of it? How much mileage are you going to get out of it? But at the end of the day, it's all about what you're going to get out of it, because as long as those shoes are going to look and feel right on you, then no matter what, those shoes are going to be true to you. This is Kevin for Style Zephyr. I'm going to give Arthur a quick call and see how he's doing. He's going to say his hellos to everybody on the show. And until the next time, stay tuned.